So, this kind of snuck up on us. Infinity Train Book 2.
So, first things first, our prediction was wrong. Although I feel like it could have really fit in here just as easily.
I am so angry. Where was Atticus?
Well, we had the guessing game of what one of his friend Atticus was doing. That's as much Atticus as we got.
At least one was back.
I mean, I am very partial to Alan Dracula.
His name could be Dracula. Alright, how about Alan? Alan Dracula!
So do we want to get to the meat and, do we want to, kind of file through this sequentially, or do we want to jump to the main question I have about this whole series?
I'm just going to jump super far to one of my favorite jokes, and I think it's solely because it's 1-1. You probably have many questions. Where am I? What am I doing here? Will there be snacks?
Well, I mean, he's sleeping, so I don't think he's asking any of those questions.
No, I think there was an old woman who was watching the video.
Oh, that's right, she just woke up. Yeah.
And she said the first two with 1-1, but will there be snacks?
Yeah.
Classic 1-1.
Oh, I didn't hear as much of his depressed side, which is kind of disappointing. A lot of it was just the happy side.
And it seems that the steward is now his mode of transportation?
Yeah, you kind of got that when the steward came in on the final battle. I'm like, oh, you know what? 1-1 could just get slapped in there. That worked just fine. From the first season. I kind of figured that was the case. No, here's my biggest question after watching this series, right? Is everything planned by 1-1? Was everything set up by 1-1?
What do you mean?
The entire series, the way everything went, including season 1, right? Did he plan, or at least plan in a certain respect, fixing Tulip in the first season? He ran into Tulip, helped fix all of her problems by the end of it, right? He gets put back in charge, and then Mirror Tulip is changing and being fixed along the way in season 2. Did he literally plan all that out?
I would say no.
Well, see, here's where because I know it seems like the way he acts, it doesn't, but doesn't that lend to him guiding them without them realizing it? He is a machine, after all.
I would say no, because during 95% of season 1, Amelia was involved.
Mm-hmm. I know Amelia would not be part of his plan at all, but I mean in the way he helps fix Tulip.
Maybe?
Because, apparently, and I'm assuming that's not just that, this has always been the case since he was in charge, even before Amelia comes along, he's always tried to fix people's problems. So it makes me wonder if some of the issues he was having, with so-called memory loss, makes me wonder if, it makes me wonder if the whole time it was a plan. Because, the way I wonder if he was faking not knowing stuff or having memory loss in order to help Tulip get her number down. And again, in the process, get back to where he needs to be.
So he knew he was the true conductor?
He might have, yeah. There's a good chance he could have been playing dumb, to help Tulip along with her problems. Especially because of the way with Mirror Tulip, it feels like he was intentionally helping her by pairing her with, Jesse. Sorry, I wanted to say Victor, and I'm like, I know that's wrong. Yeah, by pairing her with Jesse, it felt like he was helping both of them along. And he's the conductor. He's going to know where just about everything is at that point, I would think.
But then how would he lead them to each other?
Well, that's a solid question. My question is, where did Jesse's pod initially land? Because we never saw him get out of the pod. Did he land in the same car as Mirror Tulip?
I forget where he was in episode 10, I think it was, when he had the flashback on his second tape.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Because again, the question could, the train also shifts every time too. So he could have had the car that Mirror Tulip was in shift to where Jesse was about to enter.
Oh.
He could have set all of this up.
And we were both wrong in that Jesse would be the main protagonist. It's Mirror Tulip.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought for sure that we were going to get Mirror Tulip sacrificing herself to get Jesse out, which I still think would have been a great way to do it, because this entire book, the season 2, is about what makes a person human. And I think the show comes out and says pretty well that it's growth and change, because that's what gets Mirror Tulip out. Her growth throughout that, and, you know, a little bit of clever trickery, assuming 1-1 didn't plan that in advance.
Okay, who was a better villain? Although we didn't get to see Amelia too much, like Amelia or the Mirror Police.
We didn't get to see Amelia at all in this one. She's mentioned.
No, I meant season 1 with Amelia, season 2 with Mirror Police. Who was the better villain?
I feel like it has to be Amelia. If only because Amelia has way more depth to her. The Mirror Police are kind of one note of like, no, follow society, follow the rules, blah, blah, blah. Granted, they bring up a lot of good points of like, what the fuck do you think you're going to do once you're out there? You think you're going to grow up and get older and all this other shit? They bring up solid points of what's going to happen. Because there is a lot you can speculate on. Like, does Mirror Tulip age? She obviously can't change her looks without, like, literally getting a blowtorch.
We can discuss this more near the end.
It's true, but, like, my point is still, they brought up a lot of good points. But they're still, their main note as a villain is the same over and over again. Whereas Amelia's got a lot more nuance and a lot more, like, sentimentality to her. Because you can feel bad for her as a character. She did this, but she did this out of a misguided attempt to fix things. Whereas you have the Mirror Police, like I said, they're one note. There's nothing sympathetic there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a good villain is one that you can sympathize with and understand. These guys, it's really hard to do that. They have no backstory. They got nothing. If maybe, like, you know, the guy that was about to die, I forget his name, but the guy with the hat, if he had gone into the backstory of why he chose the law instead of, you know, resetting and becoming somebody else's reflection, you know, if they'd gone into that, yeah, you might be able to feel bad for them, and you might be able to actually feel, you know, like they're a good villain. You know, you'd have that sympathy there. You don't get that here. The most sympathy you get is that the younger dude, the younger Mirror, loses his buddy. Like, that's the most you get as far as sympathy goes. But even then, he's become a cold-blooded killer.
Although I haven't seen Blade Runner, I heard this book was heavily inspired by Blade Runner.
I've heard of Blade Runner. I've seen some clips. I haven't seen the whole thing through. I haven't seen the whole thing through, so I can't say.
All I know is Harrison Ford was in the original.
I'm trying to, like, run through things. So yeah, obviously, Alan Dracula, best character. Also, the other reason it makes me think 1-1 planned this all is because he literally starts calling Alan Dracula, Alan Dracula. He's like, you are my best creation, Alan Dracula. And I'm like, wait, was that always his name?
I just love the randomness of his abilities.
He just shapeshifts into whatever you need.
Like Pillow Fort, turned blue, has rocket feet.
Laser eyes. Don't forget laser eyes.
Laser eyes.
Oh my god. Laser eyes, what else is there? Giraffe neck at one point. Shrinking so he can get in and eat some fake grass inside a claw machine.
Oh my god, I just realized that the puzzle to unlock the season 2 trailer was the claw machine.
Ha! So, here's the thing, alright? And sorry, I'm diving into a bit of speculation here. If there is a book 3, who do we focus on? Because while we did get some person we could look at this point and say you could be the next main character, right? Or the thing that we follow.
I think I know who you're talking about, but let's wait until we get to speculating about that episode a bit before.
All right. I mean, I'm trying to run through. A lot of it was pretty pretty run of the mill as far as like, here's the car, here's the episode, get through the car in the episode. Solve the problem.
The map car was a really good episode.
It was interesting, but I'd love to know why the Zephyr, the wind dude, why he was just not happy with like having the map not finished, right? I get that at that point he loses his existence. However, why even start, the adventure for the map in the first place then?
To give people false hope that they're going to move on to the next car, I guess?
That seems a bit counterproductive. Because, I mean, these things are supposed to have, like, emotion and life to them, right? Like Mirror Tulip. Like Alan Dracula. There's supposed to be something there. But Haid doesn't seem to make much sense in the terms of what he's after. Is it just a never-ending adventure that he wants? But again, in which case, why get the map?
And although I haven't seen technically season 1.5, which was the train documentary collection, but I heard there's a lot of season 2 references in that. Like, you see a silhouette of a hole in the shape of a deer.
Huh.
And in one of them, there's a group of rampaging young adults.
I mean, what else was there?
There is, I'm just looking at them now, and one of them was the cross-eyed duck car. I think I may have seen a cross-eyed duck somewhere in the first episode.
In the first episode is that season 2?
I think, just in the background.
Maybe? I don't remember it.
And speaking about background, in the carnival car, there's so many characters from season 1.
Oh, really? I missed that, too. No, you're right. No, you're right. I do remember seeing some of them, yes. We had the cellar dude.
The crystal guy.
Yep, the crystal guy was there, dancing around in like a DDR machine.
Stuffed animal guy.
Were some of the turtles in there, too?
I think so. Oh, what was the stuffed animal?
I don't remember his name, but I know what you're talking about. The dude that was in like the toy area.
All I can think of is Fuzzy Lumpkins, but that's Powerpuff Girls.
Yes, I don't remember his name, but yes, I know exactly the character you're talking about, but I can't think of the name. Obviously, we get the cat again, which it's cool to see the cat. I like the cat.
Khaki Bottoms. Just looked it up.
There you go. The cat's an ass, and I love the fact that he's an ass.
I think it's female.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it would be a she. Either one.
Since it's voiced by Captain Janeway.
I mean, yeah, but you could say that about any young boy too, is voiced as from a female doing it usually. Like women usually voice young men.
But this is a cat.
I know. And the voice is very like deep as well, which makes me wonder.
Fair enough.
Either way, I don't think it really matters what the gender is of the cat. The point is the cat's entertaining.
If there is a season 3, will the cat show up again?
I mean, it's happened twice so far. I can only imagine the cat's going to get an Enterprise somewhere else.
Nice Star Trek joke.
I'm great, aren't I? Oh, anyway, so can we get into this little section now? The next car after the carnival?
Oh, yes.
The one with Apex.
Yeah, where we start seeing... I have a feeling that the name was taken from Apex Legends, which is a game that tried to compete with Fortnite and failed.
Oh.
I feel like it was taken from that. Or at least that's what my mind jumps to, because that only released early 2019.
Was it Simon that you think may be the season 3 protagonist?
I feel like it could be the main girl. I'm blanking on her name right now.
Grace?
It could be Grace. Or we could be following Apex as a whole. It wouldn't surprise me if we followed them and something happens that, like, Grace meets Amelia or something, and she starts realizing that 1-1 is the real conductor or whatever, because she says he's fake. She also thinks everyone on the train, other than actual passengers, are not real and have no emotion and are nothing, basically. Nulls, as she calls them.
And that higher numbers are better.
Yeah, which is part of why I think it's based on a game, because it's the fucking score.
So if they are the protagonists, I can't see them getting their number down to 0.
I think a lot of them realizing that there are emotions and stuff would drop it significantly, though. I feel like that's the biggest point where their numbers are a problem. That fact right there. Because everything they've done stems from the fact that they think the nulls, or the inhabitants of the train, are literally non-existent. If that one problem were solved, I could see a huge chunk of their numbers just dropping down.
To contradict that, Amelia, she knows everything on the train is real, yet her numbers are insanely high.
But did she care?
She would care if she had a car with her dead husband, blanking on his name.
Arnold, I think?
Ulrich.
Ulrich?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, yeah, she'd care only about that car, though. All the other shit to get there, she wouldn't give a crap about. No matter how terrible it was. She was only focused on the end goal. Anything in the way... It's literally like the fucking review we just recorded for My Hero.
You should watch that! You should watch all of them!
She's literally just like Overhaul, where it's like, hey, only my end goal matters. Everything else, throw it in the trash. I don't care. Burn it. It's garbage. The only thing that matters is getting what I want.
Oh, just bouncing back a few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about The Parasite?
Oh, The Parasite? Entertaining as hell.
Love that episode.
Like, piece of shit, sure, but entertaining as hell.
The second he talked, I'm like, wait, was this a power that he had but didn't show it because of plot convenience?
I thought that for a second until I saw the green thing in his mouth. I'm like, something's off here.
Yeah.
That and the title of the episode being Parasite Car.
Yeah.
So those two things kind of tipped me off immediately that this was something that was not him.
I didn't really look at the name of the episode until after I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the first one when I...
Well, I mean, I was going to say, it popped up on the screen at the start. There's a, black title card that says what the name of the episode is. Or where it hovers over the main part of the animation. I don't remember exactly, but I know it pops up, like, near the start of the episode. So
I must have been watching somewhere... You used the link I gave you, right?
yes.
I don't recall seeing the titles.
Titles were there, too.
I don't remember them.
Wow. Are you losing your memory? Are you getting old?
Shut up, man. I'm only like 70. I'm only like 7 years older than you. Shut up.
Sorry. I wasn't like actually ragging on you about it. I was just making fun of the fact that you don't remember.
Shut up.
This is as bad as your sense of direction.
That's only in Dark Souls. You should watch that.
This is as bad as your decision making in Banner Saga. I'm just gonna keep making these references.
Go through our entire catalog, why don't you? Stardew Valley.
This is as bad as your Australian accent in Stardew Valley. I can keep finding more and more to work with here.
And I am now definitely the butt monkey.
It just keeps going. It just keeps going.
And I am fine by it. And speaking about that was kind of Jesse's problem, that he was kind of a doormat for everybody to step on.
Well, it's kind of that, but it's also because he put being cool or whatever over top of family. So we were right about that, about it having to do with something with his brother, whether that was a fight or whatever. In this case, it was him causing his brother to get hurt because he was trying to be cool.
Oh,
And speaking about that,
I was looking around. I was looking around TV tropes after watching this book and just to see things I may have missed, and something very interesting came up. How did Mace, I think that was their names, like Mace and Steve, the two mirror police,
That's what their names were. Okay.
how did they escape the Toad car?
Yeah, see, that's what I don't understand either. That was a big question I had, because there's nothing in there.
The Toad did not say he needed to be inside the car. He just says the door will only open when I get kicked.
Oh, you know what? That's a solid point. The fact that he found a job there at the carnival to be kicked opens that door for them, doesn't it?
Yep.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I was wondering, because I'm like, there's nothing reflective. Granted, they do come out of something reflective, but who the hell knows how many cars got flipped around since, they got there. My other question would be, how do they keep following her? Because, I know they're going through reflections, but there has to be so many different reflections to look through. So I'd have to imagine they have some kind of way of tracking Mirror Tulip.
Yeah. There's probably so much more clever writing here that I'm completely missing or didn't read about, because when I read the thing about the Toad being outside the car being kicked, that was like, wow, I never thought of that.
So you're not thinking outside the box. Ah? Ah?
And speaking about outside the box, the Wasteland is technically a train car.
Is it really?
Because they said, what car was it? Oh, I think the tape car was the only car where the outside of the car was the world. I think that
Was it? Because there was
they
no
said?
exit shown. Like, they never went through any kind of door.
I thought that's what they said, that one of them was
Because
the...
if the Wasteland is a car in and of itself, then what's outside of that car?
No, the inside of what the Wasteland is should be maybe a real train car.
See, now you're starting to lose me. Because I'm thinking the whole entire Wasteland is a car. Is the inside of a car, correct?
No, I think Steve, I think that was his name, he said one of the cars, I forget which one, was represented on the outside.
I don't remember that
The
line.
Wasteland is its own world of what should be inside the car.
I don't remember that line at all.
It was in either 8 or 9. I don't remember now.
If anyone out there does know that, please give me the reference and a timestamp for it, because I'd love to see that line. Or a screen cap. I take a screen cap. And please put that in there. I want to know. Because if that's the case, I want to understand what that means. Because
Okay.
if it's represented on the outside, what does that actually mean? Because then, where's the edges of that world?
Okay, I found it on TV Tropes.
Uh-huh.
Under recaps for season 2, episode 9.
Link me it.
I'm just going to read it here and then link it to you in a minute, but
Okay.
the Wasteland outside the train is really another environment created by the train, as the tape car is the only one projecting an environment on the outside. This likely explains why MT can't get too far away from the train. This also raises the question of just where the train actually is.
That doesn't make sense, though. Because even if it's projected on the outside, right? Then what's on the inside of that actual car?
I don't know.
Hold on. Which part was it?
The reveal.
Hotspot. Okay, the reveal. It shows both how the passenger tapes are created, and was I sorry? Let me jump on this for a second. Was I the only one that also thought that tape car was literally going to be like a duct tape car? Did you also think that?
No, I had illusions too. This is where the tapes were made for people.
Oh, like the ones the cat had.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. Which does make me wonder how the cat got a hold of some of those. Because, I mean, what happens to them after they've imprinted the number? I mean, I assume they get stored away in the tape car, in which case, how the heck did the cat get in there? So the tapes created and how their numbers are... Yeah. The wasteland outside the car is really another environment created by the train. The tape... See, that doesn't tell me anything, because it's not giving me the specific point where that's said. So I don't know how true that is, or if that's just heavy speculation.
You should go back and watch episode 9. They did have a line in there basically saying that.
Because I don't understand how that works. Because if it's being projected on the outside, right? Then what are the edges of that wasteland?
I don't think...
Because they would have to be. There would have to be an edge to the wasteland. It would have to have an end point. In which case, what's the point of dragging Mirror Tulip back if she just hits an end point and there's nothing but void?
I'm not sure.
Or walls. There could be walls.
Maybe this could be explained further in future books, revealing more about the wasteland.
Like, I've always assumed that the train is in a pocket dimension, and it pops out to pick up passengers. And I assume that pocket dimension would have had its own thing. In this case, it would have been the wasteland.
Right.
And if you can run out and go somewhere in the wasteland, fine and dandy, there's nowhere out there to go. It's just a wasteland, and you're hounded by those cockroach dogs that literally apparently just straight up erase you.
Right.
Other than maybe passengers, I'm not sure. They might not erase passengers. But any inhabitant of the train will get erased. Aside from perhaps 1-1.
It was trying to erase Tulip back in episode 1 of season 1.
It was trying, but I don't know if it would have actually worked. Like, it might have been able to hurt her. I don't know if it would have erased her.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it was sucking away her life force because she...
See, that's not making her completely disappear like it was some of the other passengers. Or not passengers, but inhabitants. Also, the guy has a gun that turns you into one of those things for whatever reason.
Right.
Now, whether or not that was created by Amelia, it could have been.
So are all the cockroach dogs from Amelia?
They could be. And then you gotta wonder how the hell they got thrown off the train. Because they just sprout up out of the ground out there in the wasteland.
Oh, speaking about frightening monstrosities, the giant spider thing that Alan Dracula turned into.
Oh, that thing wasn't that scary.
It was terrifying for the old man.
Well, I mean, the old man literally woke up into something that technically could have been considered a nightmare. I don't think it was that scary, personally.
But what will he do now, since he doesn't have a number?
He has a number.
No, he didn't go to the number room yet.
I thought that Todd said it was returning to the tape room. So it came from there.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, don't they get on the train, they get put into the tape room immediately, then they get their number and put in the pod.
Oh yeah, that's right,
And then they get sent to whatever car they started. So it returned because Mirror Tulip damaged it. And now he's somewhere on the train probably fixing himself, even though he has no idea what he's doing. Hell, he might become part of Apex.
Whoa! Although I might need to pull up a screen cap of it, I do remember 2 people with really high numbers during the Here Are Other People on the Train in season 1.
I'm curious how many of those were revealed that were from Apex.
Supposedly, Grace and Simon were the 2 people with the highest number.
I did think I remembered Grace. I wasn't sure about Simon. Like, I vaguely remembered seeing Grace in that, lineup of people. But again, not Not Simon, but that was only a quick flash. And I know we kind of scanned that for a second. Yeah, Jesse leaves, though, after that, realizes he's fucked up, comes back, so that was an interesting little tidbit, and he's stuck between, like, having a literal 0 number, which can't be identified and is fucking with everything. Because it keeps changing.
And I am still probably messing up their names, but I'm going to have to agree with Mace. What is Lake going to do in the human world outside of Infinity Train?
Yeah, see, that's the biggest question I have, is because I don't know if this has ever happened before, right? She's chrome, she's metal. Literally, we saw his brother, Nick, right? I think his name was Nick, punch her and hurt his hand. Or no, it wasn't even him. It was one of the Apex kids. The Apex kids tried to kick her and hurt his foot. And was literally told he broke his foot.
So, now that she's outside of the train, does Infinity Train logic still work on her? Like, does she need the Swiss Army knife still on her?
See, that's a solid question. Does it still work? Is she now an actual physical person? It seems like not, because if I remember right, Nick did, like, try to punch her, like a play punch, and hurt his hand. He didn't break it or nothing, but I'm pretty sure, you know, because he did that to see if she was actually chrome or metal or whatever. It seems like at the very least her body composition is still the same. Whether or not she still needs that mirror on her is another question entirely.
So, if she would...
Because the mirror car is not there anymore. She can't return to it.
So if she would take off the mirror, would she instantly disappear and become Tulip's reflection?
Well, then the other question would also be, like, because if the logic still applies, can't new mirror police come out of other reflections and chase her down?
Or are the mirror police only following the logic of Infinity Train, and the real world doesn't have mirror police?
The real question, I think, at this point kind of becomes, where's the overlap, right? Like, that's where we're kind of having a struggle here. Where is the overlap between Infinity Train and the real world? How much overlaps the other one as far as, like, rules go? Like you said, if Mirror Tulip takes off the thing, does she immediately return to being a reflection? Or can mirror police come out of reflections in the real world now? There's a lot that's kind of thrown up in the air at this point. The fact that Mirror Tulip might be one of those unaging people that will literally live through their lives and see everyone they love die.
I think the bigger question is, does Lake have the hots for Jesse?
I mean, the answer seems like yes, in which case I don't think there's any way to father children.
No. I think the bigger question now is if Tulip and Jesse would meet in some kind of fanfic situation, what would happen? Would they fall in love and have some kind of intimate relations?
I mean, I doubt it, because Mirror Tulip kind of made a point of not being Tulip anymore. She's way more of a rebel than Tulip ever was.
So does Jesse think that's hot? So if he would meet regular Tulip, would he be like, oh my god, it's regular Tulip, she's adorable, and then they would have some kind of relationship suitable only in fanfics? Not that I'm ever thinking about writing one, because I'm not that good of a writer.
Clearly not, but you're imagining one in your head because you're bringing up this topic in the first place.
No.
My answer is no, because again, he fell in love, at least I'm assuming it's falling in love, with the person who he had all of that adventure with.
Okay.
It's the experience, I think, more than just, you know, they look similar and might have a few, you know, quirks that are the same.
This isn't My Hero Academia.
Technically, if we want to get into this, isn't the fucking Chrome isn't Lake being Chrome a Quark now?
Yes?
Because, like, when the government discovers that, hey, there's a living Chrome person, what the fuck are we gonna do about this? To Area 51 with you.
I could see, actually, down the line, if this gets to be 4 or 5 books long, I could see maybe some potential finale is what's going to happen now that the Infinity Train is leaking into the real world. Because Tulip has no reflection. Lake is a chrome person. Jesse probably, and I'm not definite, probably has some artifact of the Infinity Train on him.
He couldn't. We saw it when he left the first time. He dropped that, like, Attack on Titan inspired backpack. It literally dropped off his body when he got sucked through.
So maybe eventually it will get to a point where I don't know, but maybe like they need to fix these problems, and that will be a Avengers Endgame style dilemma that everybody needs to come together to solve.
Here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see them jumping from time point to time point. Obviously, this one was to help wrap up Tulip at the very least, with Mirror Tulip, or Lake now. I'd be super curious if we got a hop back and got to see how Amelia got in charge. I'd be super curious to see what happens if we jump forward in time at some point, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ahead of time or whatever, and we're following some new kid in there. Or, you know, fuck it. Let's go even further. Let's just say we get like maybe 50 years ahead. Okay? And we go into the Infinity Train, some new kids in there, and we run into Lake on the train again. Because she couldn't stand seeing Jessie get old while she stays all the same. And now she's an actual passenger.
Oh.
Right? Because obviously there's going to be some problems. The fact that Lake is no longer Tulip's reflection means that she's no longer bound by Tulip as a person. If Tulip ages, I don't think Lake ages. She's going to be literally stuck in that body and form the entirety of her life. Which also makes me wonder if she can even change her clothing.
Well, she did take off her mirror clothing. And
you know what? You're right. Yes, she was able to do that. But I mean, like, is there anything underneath, like, the skin tight part of it? You know, like the undershirt, the pants, or is that just stuck to her body?
Oh, I thought you were talking about boobs.
No, I wasn't going that far. But I mean, technically, you could also argue that too. Like, is there anything under there, or is it just like Barbie doll smooth?
Does she have chrome nipples?
Again, solid question. I guess technically, if you wanted to argue that if for whatever reason Tulip was posing in the mirror without any clothes on, yes. At that point, I think that the mirror version would develop that, or have that. You know, she comes out of the shower or whatever, and she's in a mirror. Whatever.
Because what bathroom doesn't have a mirror?
Yeah. But the other question would be, is it a full body mirror or not? Because in which case, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're getting into stuff that's starting to get kind of creepy.
Fan fiction material.
I didn't really want to get into it that far, but my point would still be the same of how much of the body is just chrome and how much of it is removable, I guess would be the way to put it.
Right.
Like, because obviously she also can't grow hair. She literally shaved it all off.
But then
with essentially a grinder.
That
was the rails of the train.
You're right. I was going to say, we don't know how long Jesse's journey was, but then again, I think it was confirmed this takes place 2 months, could be 3, after season 1.
I could buy that.
Yeah, I think Owen Dennis did confirm it.
I would think it wouldn't take all that long. Because, I mean, I don't believe that Lake would have been able to survive running from the cops for a long point of time. I don't think she would have made it without partnering up with someone.
Right.
I think she would have been caught eventually. I can buy that she made it 2 months. I don't see her making it more than like 6 to a year on her own. Especially with Apex running around and if she ran into them.
If we get a season 3, you think Grace or Simon might be a potential character?
Unless we jump back and follow Amelia's path through the cars, which I would still be down to see. I would love to see how she got to be the conductor. We know what her past is and why she's on the train, but that's about it. We don't know what it took to get her in place of the conductor's in the conductor's seat.
Although it would be interesting, I think this series as a whole is about people learning lessons, and if we focus on Amelia, we know she won't learn a lesson at the end of her book.
Yes, unless the only thing I can argue that is unless we get her journey and like the last couple episodes are after Tulip.
Or, here's an idea, Amelia will be a... crap, I can't think of the word, double protagonist dragonist? I forget, but she will be like the co-protagonist of somebody slowly turning into the antagonist, and right as the other co-protagonist comes off the train, will be Amelia taking over.
I like this idea better. I like the idea that we follow Amelia after Tulip's been gone through all of her journey, right? We start following Amelia as she's starting to realize all the mistakes she's made, but we get flashbacks to her journey there. Like to her journey to get to be the conductor and all the stuff she's messed up. Right? And even then it would be cool if she then meets up with Apex and is like, no, I'm wrong. I've been totally wrong.
Although we had allusions to her, I wish we would see her in season 2 and potentially 3, 4, 5, whatever, if they exist, and see her slowly getting her number down, learning more about herself from the sidelines.
That would be cool too. The one thing I really want to see is Amelia meeting Apex. That would be neat. Because they seem to idolize her as the real conductor.
I just wish we would see Atticus again.
You want to see I Am Weasel. Because that's exactly what he sounds like. I know we had this argument before. And I forget if it's like the same. I don't think it's the same voice actor. I think we went through and checked that. But it sounds just like that person.
Let me double check here.
I'm like 99% sure it's not the same person. But they sound so goddamn similar. It's crazy. It's crazy!
I Am Weasel was voiced
by...
I would need to look further because it doesn't say voices here.
Huh. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not that important.
Michael Dorn. No. So, not Ernie Hudson.
I mean, I liked this thing. I think it's probably about time to wrap this up. We've been going for a bit.
Oh, and just a sidetrack to anybody interested, remember that the new Ghostbusters movie is coming out with the original cast. So that's coming out, I think, this summer.
I mean, that feels kind of weird to shove it in there, but okay.
Well, Ernie Hudson was in the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And Ernie Hudson was the voice of Atticus.
I mean, yeah, so very slight tangent, but okay.
We always tangent though. What's the
I know, but this one feels like it's very barely connected.
I think we talked about food on our anime podcast for like 5 minutes midway through the episode rather than the beginning.
Yeah, but anime has great food art. All the time. Like, I have yet to see anime that doesn't have good food art.
We tangent. It's what we do.
Yeah, but maybe we shouldn't. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I just dropped you into a giggle fit now. Are you okay?
You just dropped our new tagline.
Oh, I know. I know I did. I just didn't think I'd reduce you to, like, nothing but giggles.
I don't know.
All right, so, as opposed to the title card that this is probably going to have, we did enjoy this, if you couldn't tell. But yes, we enjoyed this, regardless of what the picture shows. Yeah, I would look forward to a book 3. I'm super curious where they take this, if they take this any further. You know, like the animation wise. I don't know if I'd follow it if it drops into comics or something.
Although I've heard the Samurai Jack comics were amazing.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Samurai Jack was very much one of those things where dialogue was very lax, let's say. The only thing you miss out on are the sound effects and the music, which does take away from it, at least somewhat.
But I think if it's made by the same comic studio, I'm sure any Infinity Train comic might be worth looking into.
Probably. Well, before we end this, let me add one little thing about this. I like this series, right? And while I know it's not the same ideas, I wish there were some in here from, say, Gravity Falls. I'd love if there were a lot more hints about future things in this. And there could be. Maybe we're just too dumb to notice it. That's very possible.
Yeah, kind of like the Grace and Simon appearing in season 1, and
well, that one we could have never known at that point.
And the Toad Car thing.
Yes, I mean that one's not so much as like, you know, hints at what's going on in like the grand scheme of things or in the future or whatever.
Oh, you mean that?
Yeah, like Gravity Falls did that a lot, where there was like hints in the background and stuff, and prior characters from other points coming in. And while yes, that was kind of there in, you know, the carnival car, that wasn't there in like other points. The only other time I think that ever happened was like the very first episode where we saw Amelia flying through the air in her conductor thing,
which I realized was a pod.
Mm-hmm.
That he turned into.
You know what? Yeah, it was. Now that you say that, I didn't realize that.
As if she didn't want to come out of her pod.
I mean, I don't know if that's the case. I think it might have just been the best way to engineer it. Oh. Plus, it made her look intimidating.
So there was no symbolism in her using a pod for the head.
Oh, if you were talking symbolism, yeah, totally. There could totally be symbolism in there. And that she hides herself away from her problems. She doesn't want to face her problems head on. She wants to hide. You could totally argue that. And I'd be willing to buy it. But we're letting this go on too long. We're trying to end, damn it. Tangents.
Yeah, but there is so many interesting things that I loved about this. I think I may have liked season 1 slightly better, and not just because I liked 1-1 and the lack of 1-1 pushed me away, but like this had good writing, good story arc and everything, but I just found the mystery aspect of season 1 a little bit more interesting than the direction they took this one in.
I completely agree with you. I think I like season 1 better too, just because of the mystery aspect of, like, what the fuck is this train? What is going on? What is this conductor? I totally agree with you in that. This one has is very good. I don't think you're going to beat season 1 unless you get something, add in another bit of that mystery element in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's like some mysterious enemy that's hounding the passenger that we're focusing on or what. Like, that would be cool. You got a little bit of that in season 1, not much. Like, the steward was kind of hounding them a bit, but not heavily. Because it only showed up every so many episodes. It didn't show up every episode.
And maybe if we learn a little bit more about what exactly the Infinity Train is.
That would be cool. Yeah, learning like some background behind the Infinity Train, like maybe some history on how it came to be. Like, that would be neat.
Because I heard these are completely unrelated, but in Adventure Time, there is an Infinity Train that never ends in that too.
It could be that that as part of the idea, but like in the case of this Infinity Train, there's literally cars being made constantly, right? Which also makes you wonder if they ever get rid of cars or recycle them in some way.
That would be a good question for season 3 as well.
Yes, it would. Oh god, we're still trying to end this and it's taking too long.
Like, is Amelia's unfinished car with all the turtles in, is that one still there?
Is it, or was it fixed when 1-1 got back in charge? Like, did he repair it and maybe put the turtles in a new car that they liked?
And one other thing, and I know we're trying to finish, but
Oh my god.
but how big are the worlds inside the car? Like
They seem to vary.
Like the drag queen car, or whatever the technical name was the car just the stage, the runway, the backstage? Like, could you go for a mile away from the stage and still keep walking?
Well, I mean, think about it. Look, remember the crystal car from season 1? There was literally no exit. They had to make it.
Right.
And that door is randomly in the middle of the air. It wasn't against a wall or anything.
I think I may have more questions than answers.
It literally seems like the worlds in there vary, because then you have like the ones that are small that are like puzzle cars.
Yeah.
It varies. It varies depending on the car. Like, Gorginia was massive, it seemed like.
So, join us for season 3 whenever it gets made.
Yeah, when we overanalyze things and probably miss the premiere.
This time... No, because literally, the day after season 2 finished, I'm like, oh, Infinity Train is coming sometime this year. I wonder when. I wonder if there's any updates on it. I looked, I'm like, it happened?
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't remember them giving us like a date. I remember them saying 2020. I don't remember a date.
So if it's still 10, 15-minute episodes and season 3 is being planned, we could have season 3 maybe August, September, maybe?
I'd be curious to see where it goes. I feel like they might have been in development. It all depends, actually. Because usually when they get seasons, at this point, they've been starting to give them more than one season.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. At least that's what it feels like. But, like, every time Cartoon Network or whatever has done, like, these mini-series, like with Over the Garden Wall, they seem to hit it out of the park.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know what their next mini-series is, because it's bound to be amazing.
Well, it might be, Thundercats Ho. Because it only seems like there's 2 parts to that, and it is a flaming dumpster fire, if the art style didn't give you any clues to that.
Oh.
And on that sad note, goodbye, folks.
Trying to end on a high note. Yay!
I mean, your voice is a high note, but that's about it.
Oh.
Goodbye.